Welcome to the Derek Creason Show. This is episode 20. Coming up on today's show, we will talk the news and we will talk some sports. That's what we're going to cover today on Tuesday. So, as always, I welcome your feedback, your questions, your suggestions, etc. Derek at derekcreason.com is the email address. Hit me up there, send me your thoughts and stuff. Head over to my website, derek at derekcreason.com. There you can sign up for my Substack, my newsletter, and stay up to date what's going on. I was actually writing it today. It's going to go out this Friday, so go check that out. And then lastly, my book, 20-something, is available on Amazon.com. Check out the cool new logos I made today, and you can go check that out. It's an awesome. I like it a lot. I wrote it, so it's got 5-star reviews. Go check it out. All right, recent life updates. Today is Tuesday, March 25th. What has been going on? What have I been up to lately? Well, let's see. Today was a busy day at work. I got in some exercise tonight. I took the dog for a walk with one of my daughters. For work, I am a computer nerd. I do IT security. I will talk about computer nerdery stuff on Thursday or Wednesday this week. Looking at my schedule, I kind of mapped out an idea for the week to do, like, hey, Monday we'll do TV shows, Tuesday we'll do sports, Wednesday we'll do computer stuff. I forget Thursday. One day is movies, one day is fitness. Just kind of throwing a little bit different stuff in every single day, and we'll see how that works out this week, see if it takes up too much of my time. Maybe we'll do 2 times a week, maybe 3 times, maybe once a week. So trying to do more often than once every 3 months or 6 months. So doing it live makes it easier to do that and more fun. So. Alrighty. Let's go talk about my locals community. The derekcreasonshow.locals.com is my insiders community, so it's totally free. It's where I post anything and everything about the Derek Creason Show podcast, video show, live streaming show, whatever you want to call it. This is where I post all the behind the scenes stuff, where I do bonus episodes, all that kind of stuff. Let me show you what it looks like. So, there's the address for it. It's actually live streaming right now. You can see episode 20. You can watch it on Locals. You can watch it on Rumble. You can watch it on YouTube. Here's yesterday's episode. You can come in and find all kinds of stuff in here. Go to content. Go to your playlists. We've got all kinds of videos. All the podcast episodes. We've got bonus episodes. I'll put in my Substack newsletter on here, behind the scenes, all kinds of neat stuff. Just come hang out. It's a cool, fun way to hang out, interact, connect, engage. It's totally free. And then sometimes I'll put out extra stuff for supporters, but there's no pressure to do that. And that's just how we help grow the show and have fun doing it. So come check out my locals community, the derekcreasonshow.locals.com. Tons of free content that you're not going to find anywhere else. All right, let's jump into the show for today. Cool. I love that new red wind transition that I found and created and made it work. So let me know what you think about the transitions and all kinds of fun stuff. I've been doing a lot of cool animations. I can't wait for the next TV show or movie reviews. I got all kinds of fun new animations with buckets of popcorn and sound effects and all kinds of stuff that pops up on all over the screen. So let's talk about the news today. I got 4 or 5 things in the news to talk about. Obviously, what I named the episode after. It says, Senator Rand Paul says, I'm proud to join this effort to defend the Second Amendment rights of our veterans and ensure they are treated with respect and fairness they deserve. And so if we click into the article, let's read more about it. It says, Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky announced he would support Senator John Kennedy's bill to protect veterans' Second Amendment rights. Paul joined Kennedy's proposed Veterans Second Amendment Protection Act, which would prevent veterans from being denied their constitutionally protected rights to purchase guns in the country legally after receiving assistance in managing their Department of Veterans Affairs benefits. It says, due to a current interpretation of the law, Department of Veterans Affairs refers those who need help accessing and managing their benefit payments to the FBI's National Instant NICS background system check, blah, 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 blah. So sometimes, basically what's happening is if you need help with your VA benefits and payments and stuff, you can get organizations to help you. And sometimes the government was putting those veterans on lists and using that list to block them from purchasing weapons. And that is unconstitutional because we have the right to keep and bear arms. This is pretty interesting to me because I'm a veteran. I'm a Second Amendment guy. And you know what? I've used the VA for, what's it called? The thing that helped pay for college. My mind's totally blanking on the tuition assistance. GI Bill. That's what it was. Sorry. Brain fart there for a minute. The GI Bill. I used the VA for that. And then I also registered with the VA because I went on deployment in 2022. And then I was in a country, multiple countries that had burn pits. And while I'm totally fine now, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, who knows? I may be like the Agent Orange thing and develop all kinds of crazy cancer. And I want that written down that I was there and did that on the behalf of the government. And so they can take care of me or pay me, as they should for doing that job for them. And I think it's pretty cool that Rand Paul is standing up for veterans. This also makes me kind of grumpy at the VA. They've been known to just be slow and inefficient and bureaucratic. And the fact their systems are crazy complicated, just like any other government plan. And if you need some help to navigate that, you shouldn't be penalized. I'm not saying there's certain cases where people get adjudicated mentally incompetent or dangerous, or if you've got, a felon, a criminal record or whatever, those kinds of things that disqualify you from firearms. Obviously, there's a time and a place for some of those. But in general, it shouldn't be broad sweeping. Hey, let's just ban them for trying to get help. It'd be like saying, hey, you're on the list because you went to a tax professional for help instead of doing the taxes yourself. And quite a lot of people pay for people to do their taxes, which is another rant, crazy rant. But we'll talk about taxes another day. So I can't read the rest of this plan because it's behind a paywall. This is article. So that's as far as I got. I didn't realize the article was behind a paywall when I was researching it earlier. But what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on the VA and the government potentially using or abusing their access to veterans and veterans' rights and access to Second Amendment? Let me know what you think. All right, moving on. You may have heard in the news about the Signal chats that somehow got supposedly brought in this Jeffrey Goldberg guy, and he wrote an article about it in The Atlantic, and he said he was accidentally added to a private Signal chat that had like the Secretary of Defense, the Vice President, a bunch of other people, and they were talking about current military operations and attacking the Houthis and all that kind of stuff. And it's hard to say if it's true or not, or if it's fake or AI. We don't know. He kind of put it out there and published it. He's been known to put out false stuff supposedly in the past. All the PR machine of the government kind of went against him today. And I know the President, Secretary of State, and the Secretary of Defense all kind of trashed him and said this is a hoax, not worth the time of day, which, I don't know, that would probably be the default response, even if you did mess up and accidentally include it. So what do you think happened? Here's part of an interview he was doing today, and now he's kind of like not wanting to talk about it more. So I don't know if some lawyers got to him or some government people got to him and said, hey, shut up, make this go away. Who knows here?
I said there are no war plans there. I've said there's no classified information. So the obvious question is, shouldn't you now demonstrate it? Shouldn't you publish the text?
No, because they're wrong. They're wrong.
But how can you prove that you're wrong? Maybe should you provide them to the House and Senate Special Committees on Intelligence? Maybe. I don't know.
Wow. Well, you want to become my lawyer?
I'm throwing this out there, Jeff. I don't know. I mean, look. The
no,
White House
I mean, look.
press secretary an hour ago
look.
said
I feel like no. I mean,
Sorry,
I obviously. Let me just put it this way. my colleagues and I, and the advice that and the people who are giving us advice on this have some interesting conversations to have about this.
Yeah.
But just because they're irresponsible with material doesn't mean that I'm going to be irresponsible with this material. And you know what? I could, whatever. I mean, you've had a long history, as I have, with dealing with them. And
all right, I'm gonna pause it there. So he just kind of goes on for a long time and kind of answers the question, not answers the question, kind of gives some, hey, I'm trying to not give away classified material type, which is somewhat reasonable answer. So I really don't know a ton about this situation. I just know it's big in the news right now. So that's why I'm talking about it. I don't have a super opinionated opinion on it. I'm more curious than anything. Like I mentioned in yesterday's episode, leaking classified material is a big deal, and OPSEC is a big deal too. And if some of the high-end leaders messed up on that, then yeah, maybe they messed up and they should be held accountable, whether that's a slap on the wrist or I have no idea what the penalty of that is or should be, you know, if you're up at that high a level. But it's going to be an interesting story to see how it plays out over the next few days. What are your thoughts on it? Let me know. Hit me up on X. Send me an email. All right, next story is from Libs of TikTok. Very somewhat controversial account on X, but interesting. It says Trump just signed a sweeping election integrity bill. I thought it was an executive order, but maybe it was a bill. And some of the highlights of it are it requires proof of U.S. citizenship to vote on voter registration forms. It cuts funding to states that don't work to secure their elections, and has some stuff in there about prosecuting election crimes. And it's going to say take action against states who count ballots received after Election Day, prosecute foreign interference. Basically, a lot of common sense stuff that you think if we're going to have elections, they should be legit, whether your side wins or loses, and whether people you like win or lose. The whole idea of elections is that we can have these fights in politics, in Congress, versus on the street with rifles like savages. And so I think if you're against this kind of stuff, it would be pretty obvious that you just want to be able to cheat and stuff the numbers. And people who argue against this kind of stuff, their arguments don't hold up very long the longer you talk to them. And a lot of this is just stuff that we should have done a long time ago. There are countries and states that do their votes on paper and they get them counted within 1 day. And they have very low error margins and stuff. So remember, Florida had the hanging chads in 2000, and since then they got their stuff cleaned up, and they're always one of the first states to turn in their votes on the presidential elections. So it can be done. A lot of things you can look to down in Florida, for an example, on how to optimize government stuff. What are your thoughts on this new bill? Let me know what you think. All right, we've got two more quick ones. This is a funny one I saw from USA Today. A United Airlines flight from Los Angeles to Shanghai was forced to turn back after a pilot realized mid-flight that he had forgotten his passport. So apparently the pilots need their passports too. Maybe could have just slept on the plane, you know? But I wonder how far they got, whether it was an hour, 2 hours, 5 hours. Man, I bet the people were mad. You think he'll get fired? How much money do you think they had to refund? So who knows what's going to happen from that. I just thought that one was kind of funny. And last one to cover in the news today is the vice president announced he will be traveling to Greenland. He says, we want to reinvigorate the security of the people of Greenland. We think we can take things in a different direction. I'll just play a short clip.
Hey guys, it's Shady Vance, the vice president. And you know, there was so much excitement around Usha's visit to Greenland this Friday that I decided that I didn't want her to have all that fun by herself. And so I'm going to join her. I'm going to visit some of our guardians in the Space Force on the northwest coast of Greenland, and also just check out what's going on with the security there of Greenland. As you know, it's really important. A lot of other countries have threatened Greenland, have threatened to use its territories and its waterways to threaten the United States, to threaten Canada, and of course to threaten the people of Greenland. So we're going to check out how things are going there. And I say that speaking for President Trump, we want to reinvigorate the security of the people of Greenland because we think it's important to protecting the security of the entire world. Unfortunately, leaders in both America...
All right, we'll pause it there and just, there's only like 10 more seconds in the clip. So the vice president's going to Greenland. It's interesting. that we keep bringing up Greenland. What do you think is going to happen with that? Denmark owns Greenland. Do you think the United States will try to buy Greenland, invade it, take it over? Do we want it just as a military strategic land place? Do we want it for its rare earth minerals? It'll be interesting to see how this plays out in the future. What do you think America's intentions are for Greenland? Do you think Greenland has much of a say in it? I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. All right. That is going to do it for the news today. And we are going to go and talk about sports next. All right, let's go to sports. All right, that was a super quick transition to sports. I barely had time to change the scenes and the tabs. Fun stuff. All right, first up, let's talk about the NCAA tournament. The first 2 rounds are done. How's your bracket doing? How's your teams doing? I am still at 89.3% accuracy. I am tied for first in my family league. We got the Sweet 16 coming up this weekend on the 27th and 28th. And I picked Kentucky to win, and they are still in it. So I am happy about that. I think I picked Duke to go to the Final Four. They're still in it. And I actually don't have my bracket in front of me to see, but so we've got Auburn, Michigan, Ole Miss, Michigan State, Duke, Arizona, BYU, Alabama. I think I picked Alabama to go to the Final Four as well. We got Houston, Purdue, Kentucky and Tennessee, Texas Tech, Arkansas, and Florida, Maryland. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. Gotta love college basketball. It's pretty good and exciting as always. So how's your bracket doing? Let me know. Did you win your brackets and your pools with everybody? All right, next up is we'll talk about the UFC. I don't talk about the UFC a lot. I'm not a huge UFC fan, but sometimes I like to watch them occasionally if they're big name fights. And so I just happened to think, oh, I'm going to do sports on Tuesday. So let's look up basketball, fighting, and football. And then, like I said yesterday, if you want to go check out, I like to talk wrestling. That's probably the sport I watch the most is wrestling. But I do a whole separate podcast for that at Wrestling Brothers Breakdown on YouTube. So go check that out. Nice plug there for me and my brother's show. I was looking here on the UFC schedule. Looks like there's some fight nights. UFC 314 is coming up in April. And there's another one coming up in May. I don't really recognize any of these guys' names. So that's all I got. Is any of them going to be a really good fight? Maybe they'll get more hyped up the closer they get. Let me know. All right. And lastly, in sports, UFL, which stands for Universal Football League? I don't know what it stands for. Is basically the spring football league. It was a merger back last year between the USFL and the XFL. So there are 8 teams in it, and it goes from March 28th, which is this weekend, to June 14th. So if you're a big football person, you get spring football. There's 8 teams. Got them pulled up here. The St. Louis Battlehawks, Houston Roughnecks, San Antonio Brahmas, Arlington Renegades, Michigan Panthers, Memphis Showboats, Birmingham Stallions, and the DC Defenders. There are 2 conferences. They've named them after the 2 former leagues, the USFL Conference and the XFL Conference. And I do know that this is kind of cool that players who don't quite make the NFL, they can go play in this minor league here. And I do know that they, at least last year, I'm not sure about this year, they had deals with the NFL to do testing some of the new NFL rules in this minor league before they come to the NFL. So that's kind of cool that more athletes get opportunities to play. They get a chance to test rules and stuff out like that. And so that is going to do it for sports today. Do you like the UFL? XFL? No, it's the UFL. I get the name confused and stuff. So are you going to watch it? Which team are you going to cheer for? I guess I would have to choose St. Louis Battlehawks because that's the closest to Kansas City. So, and I kind of like that name, Battlehawks. It sounds kind of cool. But like I said, that's going to do it for sports. So let's get out of sports. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed the podcast, let me know. Send me your feedback. Derek@derekcreason.com is the email address. Check out my website, derekcreason.com. You can go there and sign up for my newsletter. It's coming out Friday. I've already got it 90% written. I just got to add in the rest of this week's episodes to it, and we will send it out. And then lastly, go check out my 20-something book. It's on Amazon. It's a good time. It's for 20-year-olds, probably 30-year-olds too, some of you. So just some good life advice things I had learned at 29, 30, 32, 33 that I wish people had told me, or I wish I had figured out at a younger age. And so if it could help somebody out, learn a cool life lesson when they're 21, 20, 22, 24, whatever, then that's what I wrote the book about and what I wrote it for. I'm going to have some bonus episodes coming up where I will actually go into deep dive on the book, the behind the scenes of why I wrote the book, how long it took, and doing audio book read through on different episodes of bonus episodes. So be sure to go check out my insider community at thederekcreasonshow.locals.com, and you can see about that. So that's going to do it for today. Be sure to like and subscribe, follow wherever you found the podcast. It's on all the major platforms. Share it to your heart's content. Send me your feedback, and we will see you guys next time.